The president's health care law turns 2 years old on Friday, and House Republicans today pressing forward in the fight to repeal it. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann promises to tear Obamacare a new one, literally.
American people, the President of the United States down the street at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue may not be listening to you, but we in Congress have not forgotten you. We're listening. We're not giving up until we full square repeal this bill.
All right, joining me now, a doctor who's just finished a report on the side effects of Obamacare, Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming. Senator, welcome back to the show. Great to see you. You know,
thanks for having me, Gerri.
We're talking about Republicans promising to repeal Obamacare. That's what you just heard. But the reality is that actually Republicans are retrenching on that promise, and they're going to have to take Obamacare apart piece by piece, that is. Won't that take a long time?
Well, I'm looking forward actually to the Supreme Court finding it unconstitutional. Arguments start next week, and then we'll have a ruling later into the summer because I don't believe the government has a right to go into your home and demand that you buy a government-approved product. And I think that the Supreme Court's going to agree with us. We need to replace this health care law to actually repeal it. You're right. We need another election. We need more people who are absolutely upset and offended by this health care law, and that's why Tom Coburn and I came out with this report
All right.
just
let's
yesterday.
get to the report in just a second. And getting back to your presumption that the Supreme Court is going to agree with you on the repeal of Obamacare, what if they don't? What then?
Well, I think if they don't, and you know, 2/3 of Americans feel that it is unconstitutional, I think Americans are actually going to be more upset with the Obama health care law if the Supreme Court rules that it is constitutional. I think that will increase excitement in going into the polls, and I think a much better chance that the president does not get reelected and that the Republicans take over the Senate and continue with control of the House.
Although, Senator, and look, I agree with you on what you're saying about the law. The reality is that the American people have been slowly warming to this law, and the approval ratings of it have actually increased lately. So it's anybody's guess how the American people are going to react. My objection is we can't afford it. And there was lots of discussion on the Hill today about the Independent Payment Advisory Board, whether they should be done away with, abandoned, demolished. Yet, and this was in the House, and yet this is the only price control mechanism in the whole bill. What do you say about this board?
Well, it's unelected. They are bureaucrats, and they will determine what health care you may or may not get. It is government-centered decisions about what is paid for. It doesn't even allow you as a private citizen to make that decision. We need patient-centered care. The president promised that people would see their premiums go down by $2,500 per year for a family if they passed his health care law. It's one of the broken promises. Instead, we've seen premiums go up about $2,100 a family. So what the president is doing is actually making it worse.
You don't get more wrong than that. That's for sure. Let's look at some of the true costs of entitlements for just a second here. Turn your mind back to Medicare. The projected cost in 1990, $12 billion. 1990 actual cost. So this was Medicare. The cost assumed to be the case in 1990, way back in 1965. They thought it would be $12 billion. It actually turned out to be $110 billion, a factor of almost 10 times here. So isn't that what you would expect to happen with Obamacare, too, that any number we throw out there now about potential costs would be wrong and greatly wrong?
Well, I think it way underestimated the costs. I told the president personally that I thought this was going to bankrupt the country. We could not afford it. He, of course, disagreed, but the numbers are proving me right. They used all sorts of accounting gimmicks and budgetary tricks, Gerri, to get this passed. And I think that right now we have more people unhappy with it than happy with it, and people that have actually talked to a health care provider, a nurse or a doctor or a physician assistant, they are even more likely to be opposed to the health care law and want it repealed.
And you know, November looms so large for this debate over Obamacare because it looks to me like Republicans are going to have the Senate, the presidency, at least two of the three branches of government to get rid of Obamacare. And it's still going to take a lot of time because it's not the kind of thing that you can repeal day one. So what does the rollback of Obamacare look like, Senator, and what will it take? What will Republicans have to control to make it happen?
Well, you actually do need a Republican president because if Barack Obama is reelected president, he's sure going to veto anything that we're able to pass, even with a Republican-controlled House and Senate. But with Republican control, we are able to use reconciliation on the health care law to roll back all of the things that the president forced through reconciliation. So you can have significant rollbacks almost immediately. But the first thing is to try to get a repeal of a ruling by the Supreme Court that says this is unconstitutional, which is what the great majority of Americans believe. The government should not be allowed to come into your home and force you to buy a government-approved product.
You know, Senator, we're going to be there next week, and it promises to be a bit of a circus. I think everybody who is pro-Obamacare, anti-Obamacare is going to be there in front of the cameras. Are you expecting a scene?
Well, you know, it's interesting that the second year of Obamacare, the birthday is coming up this Friday. The White House and the president are almost ignoring it. I think that they are not very, I think they are well aware of the fact that this is not very popular. And the more they seem to talk about it, the more it loses support.
Interesting insight. Senator, thanks for helping us out tonight. It was great to see you.
Thank you, Gerri.